Shri Shri Ras Bihari Niju Ki Jai, Sab Vaishnavan Ko Jai Shri Krishna. Today is day 77 of Raj Kishori Seva Trust reading Shri Hari Raji Ki 41, Shiksha Patra, and commencing with letter 31, which has 25 verses, and we're reading verses 1 to 10. Introduction. This letter presents a detailed and precise analysis of acceptance into the path of grace. It re-emphasizes that a devotee should have no anxiety, but instead constantly pine for the Lord in a mood of separation with no expectation of reward. The 31st letter explains how Shri Krishna chooses souls to be accepted by him. This choice is of two kinds, direct and through lineage. Those devotees who were actually involved in Shri Krishna's pastimes were accepted directly by him, and present-day devotees through Sri Acharyaji and his lineage. Among the devotees within his pastimes, the Shruti Rupa Gopis were accepted directly, and the Rishi Rupa Gopis through lineage, that is by Lord Rama, who is Maryada Purushottam, the Supreme Person who maintains lawful limitations. There are also two other levels of acceptance, as a personal close companion and as a servant. In the category of servant, there are also two levels, lawfully limited and purely graced. In the former, the acceptance is the reward to those who have faith in practices to attain the Lord, and the latter, and the reward is granted simply by the Lord's grace. Even within the category of grace, there are two divisions, grace with lawful limitation and purely grace-filled grace. We are accepted by Sri Acharyaji's grace into the grace-filled path, which abides by plenty of rules and limitations. That is his instructions, which are our laws, which are purely for our benefit. Our Lord Shri Krishna is the Supreme Person, the embodiment of pure grace. He cares for all his devotees in this world and the next, and so we have absolutely no cause for worry. In this path, the way is to feel pangs of separation from the Lord, to then serve him in this essential loving mood, to sing his praises and recount his pastimes. These are the service and the reward of the service both. The reward of service without this experience of feeling separation from him is a lesser reward. Pangs of separation should always be experienced, but how will this arise? When we reside in places dear to the Lord and keep constant company with his accomplished devotees, join with them to serve him, and then in isolation contemplate upon him in the deepest recesses of the heart, with never a thought of performing certain practices to attain him. We should know that his service within this path is the reward. We have no other practice but to serve him. This will be clarified in the verses of this letter. Verse 1. This path of grace is the divine reward, arising from total humility and surrender, and there is no place herein for the force of any particular practice. Therefore it is stated in the revealed teachings that its essence and soul are not attainable through adherence to doctrine. It is accessible to those whom the Lord chooses. Tika 1. This path of grace is not attainable through any particular practice, but only through grace. You can apply all your strength to millions of practices, but you will still not reach this stage of perfection. The Shrutis, the Vedas, or heard revealed teachings, state that attempting to reach the Lord through the strength of your practice or adherence to doctrine is disdained. The Supreme Lord is not revealed through exposition, intellect, or listening to many discourses. When the selection is made by the Supreme Person himself, then you may reach him. Therefore know that in this path the Lord's choice is the sine qua non. He will not be attained through your efforts. Tika 2. Thus, the Lord's choice is the foundation of this path, and the chosen soil functions within it according to that choice. It is thus the principle of the path of grace that the foundation and indeed the reward of the path is the Lord's choice, and this cannot be forced through practices. The soul who is thus chosen will function within the path according to that choice, and this does not depend on the soul's practices or means. The Lord's choice is of two kinds, and the next verse explains. Verse 3. His choice, acceptance of souls, is either direct or through lineage. Those devotees who are directly involved in the Lord's personal pastimes are accepted directly, and for all the rest the choice is through lineage. Here the commentary is the same as the verse. Verse 4 to 5. When souls are selected through Sri Acharyaji, this is known to be through lineage, not through the Lord directly. Even among the devotees closely associated with the Lord within his pastimes, there are two types. The Shruti Rupa Gopis, the lines of the Vedas who wish to experience their subject, were accepted directly by the Lord himself, and the Agni Kumarika Rishi Rupa Gopis, sages who fell in love with the Lord's incarnation as Sri Ramachandra, by Sri Ram, the Supreme Person, with lawful limitation, and thus through lineage. The choice of souls through the agency of Shri Acharyaji is not direct, but through lineage. There are even two types of acceptance within the gopis. Sri Krishna's own associates in his pastimes, direct and through lineage. Thus, in his full manifestation, Sri Krishna directly himself chose the Shruti Rupa Gopis and the 16,000 Agni Kumarika Gopis, that is, the Rishi Rupa Gopis, came to the Lord through Sri Ramachandra, who is the Supreme Person, but who allows himself limitations of law, and therefore their choice is called through lineage. Note to this verse, the account of the direct acceptance of the Shruti Rupas is told in the Brihad Vaman Puran, and the account of the acceptance of the Rishi Rupas is told in the Sri Ramayana. Verse 6. There is yet another categorization of acceptance with the status of servant or that of close companion. When Sri Krishna is manifested and directly present, then the acceptance can be as his close companion, but when it is not, then it is as his servant. Tika 6. Apart from acceptance as either direct or through lineage, there are two more types. One is as his close companion, and one is as his servant. When the Lord is manifest, there can be a close relationship with him, and when he is not, then the role as his servant is appropriate. Tika 7. Verse 7. Within acceptance in the role of his servant, there are two types also. One lawful, Maryada, and one grace-filled, Pushti. An embodied soul's true nature is to serve him, not to be independent. Tika 7. In this category of acceptance, through servitude, there are two types, one lawful and one grace-filled. The essential nature of an embodied soul is to serve the Lord, not to be totally independent. Through this divine mood of service to him, a relationship with him develops, and so this attitude of servitude is known to be superior. Verses 8, 9, and 10. Sri Krishna arranges everything for a soul in accordance with how he accepts them. One who accepted as of a lawful nature will have faith in means and practices. The soul accepted as of a graced nature will always look towards grace, and that viewpoint will accomplish everything for them. Sri Acharyaji Mahaprabhu has guided us to acceptance through grace combined with law. This grace combined with law is the manner in which he brings in all souls. His teachings and nectarian speech bring us into the lawful path, which is greatly beneficial to us. 9 and 10. Tika. Sri Krishna grants rewards to the souls according to the way in which they are accepted. In his Pushti Maryada Prawaha Bhed, the paths of grace, lawful limitations and mundane flow treatise, Sri Acharyaji has written, the Lord creates the path of mundane flow with his mere wish, the path of lawful limitation with his speech, and the path of grace from his very form. Thus we should understand that for the souls on the path of mundane flow created from his whim, the reward is involvement in this material world. For those on the path of lawful limitations created from his speech, who follow the Vedas and perform righteous works, the reward is liberation and entrance to Satyaloka, heaven. Whilst for the souls on the path of grace created from his own form, who delight in serving him, the reward is to enjoy the experience of his blissful form. The soul accepted into the lawful path will have faith in practice. They will think that they will get a specific reward for a specific practice. The soul accepted into the grace-filled path will only be interested in the Lord's grace. They will perform all activities and the Lord's service without regarding them as means to achieve a reward, but with true humility, knowing that it is the Lord's good grace alone that they are able to make such service, and all they desire is the continuance of such grace. Our acceptance into the grace-filled path, combined with lawful conventions, is through Sri Acharyaji, whose very form is grace. In his Sri Sarvotam Stotra, the best recitation, Sri Gosai has assigned Sri Acharyaji the following title, Angikrito Samaryadaha, who accepts souls into the path of grace by lawful means. Sri Acharyaji brings souls into the path of grace by his own rules, so therefore we must know Sri Acharyaji's teachings to be the established convention which are most beneficial for us. Aj Ke Anand Ki Jai. Pausing here at the end of verse 10 and continuing tomorrow on day 78 with verse 11. Sab Vaishnavan ko sadar, Saprem, Sadenya, Sanand, Jai Shri Krishna. Shri Acharya Ji, Mahaprabhu Ji, Ki Jai Ho, Sada Jai Ho, Jai Shri Radhe.